When we think of digital government, our minds usually go to what? Paying a bill online, maybe downloading a form. It's useful, sure. But what if a country decided to go way, way beyond that? Okay, let's get into this, because we're looking at Saudi Arabia's seriously ambitious plan to completely re-engineer its government using technology. And it's a whole lot more than just building a few apps.
At the very heart of this huge transformation is this one massive number, 90%. As part of its Vision 2030 plan, the kingdom has set this goal for its government to reach 90% digital maturity. And we're not just talking about services here. This is about rewiring the entire operational backbone of the state.
And that really brings us to the big question, doesn't it? How on earth do you make a government 90% digitally mature? What does that even mean in practice? It's a goal that demands a fundamental, from-the-ground-up rethink of what government actually does, and, more importantly, how it does it.
To even get close to hitting this 90% target, the whole strategy has to shift. It's got to move beyond just putting services online. The real change, the deep transformation, happens behind the curtain, in the actual machinery of government itself.
Okay, check this out, because this slide really nails the difference. The old way, the before, was basically a digital filing cabinet. You turned a paper form into a PDF, but behind that screen, all the same slow, manual decision-making was still happening. The new goal, smart governance, is about something else entirely. It's about connecting all the different ministry systems so that data can flow between them, turning what used to be a bunch of separate pieces into a coordinated, intelligent whole.
So, how do you actually build this big integrated system? Well, the answer lies in what they're calling the automation engine. And this engine is really powered by two key technologies that are pretty much non-negotiable at this point. First up, you've got artificial intelligence, or AI. And look, in this context, we're not talking about science fiction robots. This is AI as an incredibly powerful analytical tool. It can comb through huge amounts of citizen feedback to spot problems, find the bottlenecks in services, and even predict the impact of a new policy. Get this, what used to take weeks of painstaking analysis can now be modeled in just a few hours. The second part of that engine is something called Robotic Process Automation, or RPA. And if you think of AI as the brain of the operation, RPA is like the tireless, super efficient workforce. It takes over all those high-volume, repetitive tasks, things like processing invoices, checking approvals, renewing licenses. And this isn't about replacing people. It's about freeing them up to focus on the important stuff, on insight and strategy, instead of being buried under a mountain of paperwork. So you've got to understand, this big push for automation, it's not just a nice to have. It is absolutely non-negotiable, and for two big reasons. First, it creates what's called policy agility. The government can actually adapt and change policies almost as fast as public needs are changing. And second, it drives a massive boost in operational efficiency. It's really the only way to handle the demands of a modern economy. But here's the thing, you can't just plug in some AI and RPA software and expect magic to happen. Like any powerful engine, they need a rock-solid foundation to run on, and that means building the right digital infrastructure from the ground up.
And this slide lays out the two critical layers of that foundation perfectly. Step one is all about the cloud and data. The country's cloud-first policy is there to make sure that the data is high quality and, this is crucial, that it's kept secure within the country's own borders. And then step two is cybersecurity. It makes sense, right? The more you automate and connect, the more potential targets you create. So security isn't some add-on. It's woven right into the fabric of the system with things like heavy-duty encryption and constant monitoring.
Okay, so we've seen the tech. Now let's talk about how this all connects to something even bigger. This massive technological overhaul isn't just about making government services better. It's a core piece of a national economic strategy, where a more efficient government actually becomes an engine for economic growth.
One of the really interesting results is the creation of a whole new market. This business-to-government, or B2G sector, gives tech companies a predictable, long-term opportunity to partner with the government. They're the ones who will help build and maintain these complex systems. It's a stable source of demand that really helps stimulate the private tech industry. And the numbers here, well, they're pretty significant. These digital government projects are expected to add over 11 billion Saudi riyals directly to the nation's GDP by 2030. That is a clear, measurable return on this huge investment in technology. And it's not just about money. Check this out. Instead of just getting rid of roles through automation, This transformation is expected to create over 26,000 new jobs. And these are high-skilled positions in technology, in data science, in policy analysis, basically building a workforce that's ready for the future. So when you step back and you put all of these pieces together, the tech, the infrastructure, the economic impact, what you're really seeing is a picture of the future of governance. It's all about building this invisible, powerful engine that just hums along in the background, powering the entire nation forward. And if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this right here. The goal isn't superficial. It's not about launching another shiny new app for people to download. The real mission is deep and systemic. It's about completely re-engineering the fundamental processes of how a country is actually run.
Which leaves us with this final, really powerful idea. The ambition isn't just to have better, faster services on the surface. The true goal is to create a government that is fundamentally smarter, more agile, and more responsive from its very core. It's a massive shift from just doing things digitally to actually thinking and operating digitally.